Hey, gorgeous soul. Welcome to Erin G. I'm Erin. We have your full moon reading today. This is the full moon for March 2023. It's all ready to go. So grab yourself pen and paper and maybe even like a cup of tea. That'd be nice. Or maybe some water or something just to kind of stay hydrated. And let's go through and explore what the energy of this full moon is going to bring this month. Alrighty, awesome. So the full moon, what is that energy and why would we do a reading? The energy of the full moon is this wonderful, magical period of time where we can just slow down for a second and explore parts of ourselves that we may have been hiding, or parts of ourselves that we may not even be consciously aware of. And yet those parts are actually affecting us on, like a daily basis. And the purpose of doing a reading is for us to get a little more specific on what the energy currently is when we're working with the moon. And so we can relate this to what's going on within ourselves. So it's a little more, it's a little like breadcrumbs, they sort of help you along the way, like little puzzle pieces for you to understand, hey, there's some things going on with me, or there's things going on the outer world that I can see is impacting me in a way that I might not understand why, and what do I do about it? Okay, so today I've kind of done a bit of a mix of, your normal tarot and oracle cards. Sometimes that's just what I like to do. So let's get started. We're going to look at what's been happening. I've got to get comfortable. What's been happening since the new moon, because the new moon is when you sort of new beginnings, you're starting fresh, you might have some new goals. You can start to kind of create, start to get those creative juices flowing. And the full moon is sort of like the peak of that, the outcome of all of that. So you have been doing a lot of transformational work here. And it's been quite a solo journey for you. But a very, very necessary one, which is awesome. So that's kind of where you have been, that your journey from the new moon to now, that's kind of where you've been at. You've been able to identify a few more, you're feeling a little more specific these days, kind of going about your day with a little more purpose instead of going through your day and feeling like you're kind of a little all over the place. So it feels a little more specific. So the transformation that you are undergoing is sort of like a long-term one. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's certainly quite, if you could just reflect on the kind of person you were even a few months ago, compare that to who you are now, I'm wondering how different you are and how much you have grown. So that's always a good way of kind of celebrating the journey that you have come so far, which is amazing. So where you are right now is that you're just starting to bust through some of the difficulties that you've been having. And it feels like the way in which you react to obstacles and challenges don't seem to be as severe. So those obstacles and challenges still occur, and they still occur in the same way as what they seem to, but your reaction to them, I don't know, you're very much kind of like, I can handle this. You're in a much better place to be able to withstand those things that kind of come your way, those little curveballs that life has this tendency of throwing at you. But it's also, you're also in that place of how do I explain that? Going deeper down, kind of like into the bowels of the earth, So you are, which is perfect when we're working with, the full moon, because it's that shadow work. It's that going a little deeper. It's not so surfacey stuff. It's kind of diving right into the depths of the parts of self that, that really, really need a little bit of light. Yeah. So that's kind of where you are at the moment. You are, in a way, as you are transforming, the way in which you are doing that is by kind of diving a little bit deeper down, and it's really changing you for the better, which is awesome. So yeah, it's funny because I've got the Devil card, and it's, the minute you sort of say that, it has a tendency of kind of creating fear around it because, it's got the word devil in it. But ultimately, the Devil is really about going more inward and bringing light to that parts of self. So it's quite interesting that that's come up for you. So as you're doing that, what's coming into your awareness during this particular full moon is that need to balance it all out. So as you are doing this work, this, which can be quite intense, it's always good to balance that out with doing some fun things too. Because, we don't always have to be so serious. And particularly when you are healing parts of self, that can be, it can be pretty full on. So obviously it's important to recognize how much time and effort you're putting into doing the hard work, the transformation that you're undergoing. Recognize that needs to be balanced out with some playfulness and doing things that you really love to do. And it's also about balancing out. I'm also sort of seeing here some financial things as well, so some financial changes too. And this could be certainly, your career, if you're starting out in a business or you're thinking of going into business, then, that's sort of that balance of being sensible with your money and, not overspending. So yeah, it's we've got a mixture of messages here, and because this is a collective reading, what I really urge for you to do is, as you're listening to me relay these messages, really try to use your own intuition and take what you need from this and just leave the rest. Because some things I say, you're going to be like, it doesn't really resonate, while other things are going to be like, yeah, actually that's me all over. Okay, so I just wanted to point that one out. Okay, so that's basically what's coming into your awareness. So coming into your life, whether that's coming into you as a physical, like 3D world type thing, or if it's coming into you on more like a heart soul level. But the heart soul level is the playfulness, the balancing that out, and the physical stuff is balancing out your money, your finances, just making sure that you're not overspending. So we're touching on a few things here. Okay, so the next one is what is no longer serving you. Okay, so this is important. With the full moon, it's a perfect time to release what no longer serves you. So this is a cool one. Fear. What no longer serves you is fear. A couple of things. That's one of those things. Also realizing that you can stay in the fear, you can allow it to hold you back, or you could choose to just face it and just continue on your way anyway, even though it may be uncomfortable. The other version of this can be that you might want to identify when something is a little too much. So if you fear that you've overdone it, if you fear that you've overcommitted, then maybe you are in fact correct. And maybe it's a case of, not buying into the ego and thinking that you've got to do everything, but use this full moon to recognize what's important, what are the big priorities for you that kind of nourish your soul and really help you be a better person, and leave everything else behind. So sometimes the battle isn't yours to fight. And sometimes the hardest thing is to identify when to stop. So as you're working with this particular moon for March, the full moon of March, you can ask, universal energies, if you're unsure, hey, can you please help me identify what is a priority for me? What is the thing that's nourishing me? And am I, like, you can ask yourself, am I overdoing it? Am I overcommitting? Could I make things a little more simpler? Okay. How you can let that go, which again, perfect for the full moon energy, is to realize that sometimes what we fear the most, it's not that actual thing that we fear, but it's the fear. That's the thing that we're afraid of. So it's important for you to realize that when we fear something, it hasn't necessarily happened, but we're still worried about it and we're still taking that on board. And so even if you've got this fear kind of, like your ego is sort of saying yes, but if you walk away from this could happen and this could happen and this could happen. And if you don't spend your money like this, then this could happen and this could happen, this could happen, and it's possibilities for sure. Yeah, okay, it's possibilities, but they haven't actually happened and yet you're still afraid of it. And so the way in which to move forward and work with the full moon is to trust yourself. I think we have fallen into this trap of needing reassurance and validation from outside sources. I mean, how many times have you heard that saying where, I need to take a page from my own book? You give great advice, but when it comes to you giving yourself advice, for some unknown reason, it's just not as impactful. So Spirit is basically encouraging you that now is the time to not give in to the fear. Now is the time to just continue on that path, the path that really does make you feel very good. And, it's not a case of, hey, you'll do that and you won't be afraid. Of course you're going to be afraid, particularly if it's something that's totally new. But the key is that fear will eventually dissipate because you'll start to realize that you've made the right decision. And you'll start to realize that by making decisions that come from that heart space, the place that does feel good, then it no longer has a hold on you. The fear can't really pull you back because you're like, hey, I'm in a good place now. What have I got to be afraid of when I'm feeling so damn good? Okay, so that's the energy that's kind of going to help you if you can start to trust yourself more. Trust universal energy, trust your heart, your intuition. That's a very, very big thing. The resources are available to you, and this is the last part of the reading. Resources available to you is really letting your tribe in on your life. So I know that it can be hard to let people in, and I know it can be difficult to express yourself and tell the truth about really how you are and your fears and your doubts and your vision and your dreams, your goals. I know it can be really tricky to do that because, it's I don't know, sometimes it can feel uncomfortable. Sometimes we just keep it to ourselves because we don't want judgment. But the resource that's best available for you as you continue on your journey is knowing your tribe. And it when I say tribe, I'm not talking about this big crowd of people. I'm talking even if you've got 1 or 2 really close friends or family members, people who you feel like you can be completely yourself and it doesn't come with any judgment. They're the people that will really help you. Okay, so if you don't have that, if you don't feel like you've got those sort of connections and those relationships with people like that, then this full moon is a time for you to ask for that. Ask the universe, hey, I'd really love to find some long-lasting relationships where I feel like I can be myself. And the key to doing that is to start being yourself before you find those people. Okay. I know it sounds a little backward, doesn't it? But it basically means that you are already perfectly who you are, and then you're gonna find other people who are just as honest with themselves as well. So those connections you form are like true connections, not kind of fake ones. Okay, so you're seeking that emotional connection, and it can be a little unfamiliar if you're not very kind of connected to your emotions as much as what you'd like to be. Then you're probably going to find that this full moon will start to bring about some emotions and help you to release some of those, so that you can start to feel more like yourself and to feel like you can make those connections with other people. Okay, so that is our full moon energy forecast for this month of March. I'm just going to pause for a moment and see if there's anything else that needs to be relayed to you. Yeah, they're basically just sort of saying that, this deep work that you're doing, the shadow work that you're doing, doesn't have to be a lonely journey either. And I think, even by you just tuning into this reading with me, we are obviously on a very similar page. We've obviously got the same interests, because, why would you be watching the video? So, we are out there. Your tribe is out there. We're all here. And so it is good to have that connection. It doesn't have to be done alone. But you also, by doing it alone, you also have that strength and the resilience as well. So it's all about balance, isn't it? Okay. Balance. Okay, so beautiful soul, I really hope you've enjoyed this reading for the full moon. If you have any questions or comments, just, feel free to leave them down here. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, because, we're talking about connection here. So that's one way to connect with one another. And of course, if you think, hey, this is actually a really good video, I felt like I got a lot out of it, I'm loving the vibe, give me a thumbs up. That would be great. And enjoy this beautiful, beautiful full moon, that gorgeous, bright lunar energy. Oh, it's incredible. Enjoy it. And I'll catch you very, very soon. Bye.